Well, greetings everybody. My name is Mal, and my second name is Burns. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you've got to squash me. Yes, twitter.com/ Malburns, Malburns. And we have an additional feed over there at Twitter too, which is twitter.com/ Metaworld News, just like this program, but squashed as well. Ah dear, isn't it fun to be squashed? Of course, in these days, if we live in small flats, apartments, we are also squashed there too. So maybe the future means not so much living in virtual reality, but living in Squash World. Yes!
Mm-hmm.
Let's all go play in Squash World. Maybe we'll even have to, maybe it'll be so crowded we'll have to become 2D again. Wouldn't that be fun?
Flat, yeah. No, would not be fun.
Okay. Well, the other voice you're hearing beside me is none other than James Outloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mel. I enjoy doing this. Great to be here
Yeah.
and listen to the stories.
And at the same time, James is fiddling with knobs. Yep. Um, he's on the keyboard today. He's moved the knobs more towards me, and he's got a screen. But anyway, that doesn't really matter because he's the knobs are all different cameras that he's bringing to you, including my desktop, which I share with you as I read out news headlines for this week. And
And
those news headlines are largely culled from the posts I actually put on Twitter, which is why I told you about twitter.com/ Malbones straight up. Yeah.
yep.
It was, of course, a narrowly escaped cue for the rabbit hole, actually. So let me get on
Mm.
with the real thing.
And the week,
Today,
the date,
it,
yeah.
yes,
Yep.
today is the 3rd of May.
Ah.
So these are our headlines for the week ending the 3rd of May. And the ones I'm going to start with all come from the last 3 days. So I guess it's the
Oh.
headlines for May. I will get to the ones earlier than that later on in the program. I do seem to have quite a lot, so I'm going to get on with things and whatever. Um, on the main Twitter accounts, I cover quite a wide range of sort of things. And obviously, given the circumstances today, these days, quite a lot of posts come up that aren't particularly news. They're just advertising things happening online that I think, come under that XR category. Even 360 surround videos and that sort of stuff. So much is now called do it virtually online. It's some things actually defy what I understand to be virtual. It's almost as though if something is um, in any way immersive online, it's virtual, and including the British government, who are now have a virtual parliament. Come again? Well,
Hmm.
it's not virtual in any understanding I have of the word. It involves putting webcams up on the wall and having MPs voting and talking from home and getting lost in the queue. It's not apparently working that well. Right, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it, folks. So, as I said, James is on one of his cameras. Is actually well. Come on, my monitor's just switched itself off. That was naughty.
Oh.
It's not meant to do that when there's an
No,
open
no.
application. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's back now. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Okay, I'm move. The first thing I've got up here is enr.com. It's actually a www.enr.com. And the article's about turning to virtual reality BIM review during a pandemic. Now, I'm not quite sure what virtual reality BIM is, but this connects with. I don't know, it's a site called Insight, right? And their product is this virtual reality BIM software. But the BIM enabled virtual reality setups have been around for years, and I'm just flipping down here. Yeah. I think it involves being integrated with Autodesk for the company. They have something called a BIM 360 cloud-based platform. So I know it says BIM models can be loaded up in VR with a few clicks. So it rather sounds to me a bit like what's it, Sketchfab and those other places online where you can get 3D models, import them, and whatever. So anyway, a short article. Not really much to it. I'm starting with it because it's one article when I went there the first time, I used up my one and only paywall entry, so I had to go back and get this out of my cache. Naughty me. Anyway, you will find this at www blah blah enr.com. And the article is dated April 29th. So, yeah, that was midweek, the end of April-ish. So I'm going to put that one away and get on with things that actually load properly of their own accord. There we are. Now, I actually do reference quite a few articles and posts at Medium. They're not so much news posts, they tend to be articles, and fairly long form articles are quite good. Um, I think there are a couple coming up this week, actually. But I opened this one first because what Medium have done is they've actually started curating all the articles that in any way deal with virtual reality, and they've created something called the Virtual Library. And if you go to medium.com/virtual dash library, you will get to this page, and basically it's a summary of trending stories and latest stories and all sorts of stories basically they've got at the Medium website. And well, as you can see from my scrolling down, you get a fair selection. And I presume as it fills up, there will be ways of getting a more extensive list. But anyway, quite a nice idea actually, because regular viewers will know that if I quite often tell you about virtual reality articles at Medium, and I'm never able to give you the full URL because of the way Medium occupies the address bar with its logo. But obviously, this is your solution. So if you want to, if you're interested in any of the articles I mentioned in Medium, go to this site, medium.com/virtual dash library. And if you bookmark that, then that's going to be your easy way to get to all the latest relevant
Wow, does a
articles.
dash count as a screen as a mash as a squish job?
Sort of, well, it hasn't got a space in it.
Inquiring minds want to know, right? Is it a squish
Oh,
job?
right. Somebody's asking, are they? Right.
No, no, I'm
Um,
I'm asking.
oh, you're asking.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm
I
snarking
will
in the
call it.
corner.
I will call it semi-squished.
Okay, all right, good, good to know.
Yeah, it's a dash though, so it joins the words together in the absence of a space, which you can't really have easily.
Correct.
Because every space you see, you might think is a space, but it's actually an underscore. If you've ever looked at
Or
that
even worse, a
stuff.
percent 20. Oof.
Oh gosh, yes, indeed, yes, 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 indeed.
That's
Yes,
obscure reference,
the
but
hidden, the
yeah,
hidden language of the web. Well,
that's right.
anybody's ever coded links and stuff will know it. It surprises how often it appears, but and
Yeah,
in
yeah,
links and in links itself. So
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, but yeah, these days you are lucky, folks, because the world has changed to plain English a lot of the time. How many of you remember what you had to do before we had the www bit?
Oof.
Well, you don't even need the www bit now, so
Right.
there. Right, anyway, moving on. So, yeah, do bookmark that. Great jumping point, a portal, so to speak. Medium.com, virtual library. Right, now moving on to some of the news sites. This is vrfocus.com, VRFOCUS and .com, of course. And, well, these crazy pop-ups obscures the title. I hate this. Here we are. Right. Have a ball in VR with 8 360s Extreme Motion Simulator Nova. Now, I wouldn't mind getting into one of these things. I do tend to get dizzy on my feet and stuff, but I've got a feeling that if I was actually in one of those balls, I probably wouldn't. I think you sit in the ball. I don't know. Maybe you have to stand in the ball, and
That looks like you
I've always
sit,
been.
but you wouldn't have to worry about falling down.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like the mouse on the wheel that just goes. The wheel goes round and round forever and ever. If they're big enough and you can stand in them, I suspect I would get dizzy, but I kind of like the idea of being in a giant ball, because you move and walk and run and do everything else and turn and whatever, and the environment moves with you. But it would be a good way of getting exercise without actually having a whole holiday room. Anyway, yeah, so gadgets. Not cheap, I imagine, but Peter Graham is writing here. We're at vrfocus.com, yep. Nova, as it's called, is in its third iteration and ready for production. So it's not exactly new, but this is the third version. And plenty of Holbrook examples have been designed to make virtual reality as immersive as possible whilst reducing motion sickness. And yeah, talking about Virtuix, the Omni treadmill, the seated Your VR motion simulator, all have their pros and cons looking for that ideal solution. But quite possibly the most impressive to look at is Wellington, New Zealand based 8 360s motion simulator called Nova. The photo there is the founder with his prototypes. I like the fact that prototypes is plural. I get a bit suspicious when there's only ever one prototype, don't you? Um, Taking out just over 2 by 2 meters of floor space, weighing in at less than 500 kilograms. It's already compatible with such titles as DCS World, X-Plane, No Limits, Roller Coaster Simulator, and probably a whole load of others I never heard of. And Dirt Rally too, another one I've never heard of. But then again, I'm not a gamer. But simply as a tool, I imagine this could end up being worthwhile. I'll give you a quick look at the video here. Um, get an idea of the size. Oh yeah, so actually the seat, it is seated, but the seat is relatively small inside the thing. From a distance, it looked like the seat would have held the whole thing. There you are. Oh, and of course it's got a cradle. Where have I heard that phrase before? Total immersion.
Hmm.
I think they pinched that from somebody else. Gosh golly.
Maybe it
Okay, well
needs it. Maybe
actually,
it needs smell-o-vision.
yeah, definitely some smell-o-vision. All the way other one. What's the other one I had last week? The
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
temperature vision. Temperature vision doesn't sound right, does
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Temperature sensing. Yes, yeah, a bit of mint and a bit of chili pepper,
I bet after
and
several weeks of use, that would have smell-o-vision inside of it, just not the
it,
preferred smell.
yeah, yes. Oh
Oh,
dear.
I'm
Okay, well,
snarky today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, yeah, back to astronaut training. That's what I say.
Yep, yep.
If you can't handle it, you have to leave it to the astronauts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm putting that one away. Right, this is like Hubs Cloud and how to build your own social VR platform. This is an independent blog. About the Mozilla teams have developed a way to give individuals the power to host and control custom 3D experiences from their own managed infrastructure, and they call it Hubs Cloud. There's been quite a bit about this recently. This is kind of an independent sort of how to do it thing that I quite liked. Um, the actual early one is a bit weird. It's Broken Place, but it's got a dot in it, like a name. So it's Broken dot and then PLACE. And then there's a backslash and it's Hubs Cloud Social VR, but a dash between all four of those words. Um, Go to Melbourne's at twitter.com and click the link
That will do.
if
Right.
in doubt, if in doubt. I could use the traffic. Well, I think I've got a lot of traffic, but never mind. Okay, so that's about Hubs Cloud and a sort of how to produced independently rather than from Mozilla themselves. Right, HTC, which is a breed of helmet, isn't it?
Hmm.
They've launched a thing called Vive Sync that lets remote teams collaborate in VR. Well, I thought that was what the whole idea was in the first place. Apparently, what it does is it dates back to 2018. They've been piloting the service since then, but it's now available free as part of an open program for companies. And uh, if I remember rightly, it just means a lot of people in remote locations can wear a Vive headset, and their avatars or whatever are synced into a common location, a bit like OpenSim and Second Life, I guess. Um, yeah. Of course, Facebook are getting in on the act too. Yeah, ViveSync can accommodate up to 30 participants simultaneously with support for collaborative meetings, presentations, press conferences, and any other type of interaction you can possibly think of. Um, the last three words added by me. Right, different seating arrangements possible, including small conference tables or auditorium setups. And that's the main picture I've seen floating around in the week. It also integrates with Microsoft's OneDrive to make it easier to virtually share files, pulling in PowerPoint presentations, videos, etc., etc. And there's a little picture of. Oops, we can't zoom, unfortunately today. Um, of a mini auditorium set up. Somebody arrived by car, which seems a bit superfluous, but there we go. Um, yeah, and oh yeah, they've got their own avatar creator, and that's a little bit of stuff from there. Anyway, to find this article, I've completely forgot to tell you where I was. We're actually at a site called VentureBeat. VentureBeat, two words squashed, of course. VentureBeat.com. And April the 30th, the last day before May began, is the date of that article. Right, move that one away again. Moving on. Um, from back, this is a site called archdaily.com. Arch as in architecture, and also there's funny little things that cross the road and you go underneath them, kind of, or pavements or whatever. I'll spell
Mm.
it for you, shall I? archdali.com, archdaily.com, as in architecture rather than arches, but it could be both when you think about it. Right, from backdrop to spotlight, significance of architecture in video game design, and this is focused on games, but there again, design of virtual worlds environments and the design of game environments have a lot in common, just like the technology. I mean, you may be chasing zombies around the countryside, or you may be going for a pleasant walk with your friends in the countryside, but the chances are the design of the countryside is not much different. So, yeah, interesting thing there, really, about the significance of architecture. And I mean, I imagine, it's actually things like this where people actually criticize something like Second Life Open Sim for, oh, it's not realistic, blah, blah, blah. And, it's not as graphically rich as our games. And, it is a point. There's a trade off because you're in an immersive sort of two-way platform. You're not playing a game, multi-user or first person. Um, so games can often afford to have very immersive kind of backgrounds, as it were. But that doesn't really mean that virtual worlds suffer, not these days anyway. So quite big article there with some examples, including a video on how to make an office environment, but that's using the Unreal Engine. So that probably assumes you're in authoring platform anyway. So as I say, find this at archdaily.com. Right. Now, moving on, the ghost towels. Here we are, scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. Actually, talking about Mozilla Cloud Cloud and saying it's the foundation of the free metaverse, and tells you all about what it is and how to hold your event online, etc., etc., and working completely in the browser, and all about the new Hubs clouds that Mozilla have talked about this week. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask James if he wants to make any comment on this, because we were mentioning it a little bit before. Oh, God, where's my screen gone? Hello.
What were
Oh,
you
yeah.
looking for?
My computer monitors have switched themselves off. I don't
Again.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, there must be something funny going on here. Anyway, I was going to ask you here about. I presume you can see everything, okay? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I gather you've been in there building a little place for yourself.
Yeah. I've been
For
trying a variety of things, and I hadn't been in hubs for quite a while, and I had recent occasion to try and, since I'm working remotely at my day job, to try and plan an event where we more of a social gathering event. And I thought about all the different platforms, and I said I think that Hubs is going to be the easiest for non-virtual world aficionados to
yeah,
access. And so going in there and building the space for this event, I found there are a lot more features in Hubs than I was aware of. The screen sharing is good. There's a webcam sharing feature, and it was actually
mm,
quite satisfying. So something definitely to look at in Mozilla Hubs, and the fact that people
mm,
can just get a link and jump in is something we've
yeah.
been hoping for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in it's the future. Well, I've been in it quite a few times actually now. I've got a permanent diary date for I think there's a woman there that just introduces everybody every week rather than an actual meeting.
Hmm.
But often it's very deceptively simple, and it's not until you actually get used to the camera and being able to walk. You can walk around the corner through a door and actually move into what you thought was a simple environment is actually more detailed than you actually were expecting.
Hmm.
And it gives you the surprise around the corner effect.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, we are big fans of that. I mean, there are various other VR on the web efforts going on, but Mozilla seems to be pretty on the ball with this stuff and moving at quite a pace. So
Yep, yep.
yes, I too do like it, and if I can get a persistent place there, I think it'd be well worth having it and embedding it. But might even do one of our news programs from there. That might be fun.
That would be different.
Okay,
Yep.
moving on. So yeah, that is scarredghost.com, and scarred ghost is spelled with a K, so SKARREDGHOST, and read all about it, as the newsboys used to say.
Hmm.
Right, this is a site called Euronews, EURONEWS.com. It's got a WW widget before it, although you probably don't need it. Nothing really new about this, although I'm not quite sure what um, um, revolutionary new device simulates the feeling of touch in virtual reality. Well,
Oh
this is
no.
a yeah, well, this is a mainstream newspaper who've
Right.
obviously
Picked up the story.
found something to talk about. Yeah, um, and we have covered, from the look of it, I'm looking at what's in this chap's hand. I think we have covered this before, but I'm blowed if I could really remember that much about it.
It's the fishing reel
Uh,
device, right? The
it's,
device that sits on
well,
your shoulder with all the strings on reels?
oh no, no, no! I don't think is it.
Yes, I think it is.
Oh, maybe so. I recognise the thing in the hand, but
Yeah,
not the springy bits.
that's a Windows mixed reality controller with all the little
Right.
dots on it.
Team at Carnegie Mellon University. New device uses haptic feedback technology that simulates the sensation of touch. Blah blah blah. Oh yes, yes, you're right.
There
It's
she
got the
is.
spring. There it is.
The
The
fishing
lady with
reel.
the springy, bouncy stuff. Oh, and more people with springy, bouncy stuff. See, it's a communal, social experience. It is apparently.
It could be great.
Anyway,
It
yes.
could be great. I just don't know.
So I always automatically post stuff that almost half without reading it because when I see posts in what is really mainstream newspapers, I think, oh, this is good,
Right, right.
PR
Well, the
for
story's being
virtual.
spread, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, revolutionary new device. Yeah, yeah. Bring on the revolution of devices. It's like the Internet of Webs, isn't it? Or the webs of, oh God, no, what's the phrase?
Where's
Internet of Things. Internet of
Where's
Things.
Guy
Sorry.
Fawkes?
Sorry?
Where's Guy Fawkes? if we're having a revolution.
Oh no, no, you don't need Guy Fawkes. They got
Okay,
they're
okay.
manufacturing a whole host of guillotines. That's it's the other revolution.
Ah,
That's the real revolution.
oh, that
That's
one,
what
right?
yeah, Guy. Where Britain didn't. I don't think we did we. Well, we had the wars of. Well, we had all sorts of civil wars and stuff, but I don't think we ever had what would be called a revolution. The
Yeah,
French were the ones that had that,
right.
unless you count the 1960s. But I don't think most people do in retrospect. Right, bring on the revolution, man! Volunteers of America and stuff. And what? Turn on, tune in, drop out,
Yeah.
and yeah. Let's get back to the news, shall we?
Hmm.
Right. VRScout.com. VRSCOUT.com. Shelter in Place offers free VR mini games to those under lockdown. And they are mini games, to be honest. But, I posted it because I thought, some people reading might just, have time on their hands as they shelter in place appropriately. They can shelter in place with shelter in place.
Good.
Open-ended sandbox offers over a dozen rooms to explore. Unnamed VR launched back in 2019. It's an open-ended sandbox game that lets you explore a virtual mansion and play a bunch of short mini games like basketball, darts, and archery. In response to COVID, the game has been renamed in Space. Sorry,
Oh.
Shelter in Place. This is going to be a tongue twister. I hope you won't have to read it again. It's now available as a free download as part of a broader effort to help people stay entertained during the quarantine. There's a little video there that you can watch. It's nearly 3 minutes long, so I'm not going to. Ah, cute enough. I have seen worse. Yep, and wearing VR helmets there as well. Okay. Oh, hang on. I need to mute it again, don't I? There we are. Um, okay. You step into a mansion with 15 rooms, and each has different environments and games to play, etc., etc. Um, okay. Parascoma is a company who's assisting with the building of these things, and they're also creating custom workspaces in AltSpace VR. Interestingly. But Shelter in Place itself is available for free from the Oculus Store or from Viveport or from Steam. So that's where you get it if you want it. And it's nice to have those sort of, it's like, remember, some people got bored in their offices, and since their employers only provided Microsoft Windows, they were reduced to solitaire, weren't they? Well, but some people took great pleasure in solitaire. Simple is not always bad.
I still do. Yep.
Yes, indeed. We've probably got 3D sales here now, like 3D chess and everything else. Yeah, anyway, so that article is at vrscout.com if you want to read the article in full or follow the links. Published on April 28th, that one. Oh, go away. Pop ups, indeed. Right, now, this again is a post at Medium. XR interview, Andrea Ion, uh, Ion Kojo Karu, I guess, from Lumina. But again, this is one that you'll be able to get to very easily by simply going to the virtual library, which is simply medium.com/virtual library, although virtual dash library, I should say. Um, and yep. Uh, Actually, that's not as long as some of the stuff they have there, but interview anyway, looking at collection of the best and brightest in virtual reality, uncovering their stories and documenting their insights into all things immersive. Oh, sounds grand. I don't, the author is something called Nerd Pirates. Not quite so grand, I think, but never mind. Okay, find that at Medium. Go to medium.com, the virtual library, for easy access, shall we say. Okay, this is Engadget. We come here quite often to engadget.com. Researchers control the game of Tetris using a breathable wearable sleeve. Now, this I have seen a couple of things on sleeves before, but I think this is really um, the um, the first sort of its real kind. It's actually a special material that makes this, not so much the wrist control. It can be used for biomedical tech and human machine interfaces, and is breathable and touchable, of course. It's basically it's also ultra thin, apparently, stretchable electronic material that is gas permeable or breathable. And yeah, researchers from North Carolina State University. There's a video there which shows them playing with their own gadget. There we are. Watch carefully. And she goes click, click, and click, click, and click, but no click. Just a little bit of tapping. And good old Tetris. Anyway, you got to demonstrate it with something. And, early days, if it works, it will probably get bigger and better and faster. And give me more, give me more, give me more. Um, Yeah, some technical information underneath there. I'm not going to read all that out. So find out more about that. It's engadget.com. Right, educators in VR, they who held the conference not so long ago, and they just having so many events a week these days. Um, Most of these are in Alt Space VR, though I think they have had a few in other platforms. This one is, if I'm right, it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Right, we don't want that one. That was actually on May the 1st, Friday. That was an event. Sorry about that. We sometimes goof around here, don't we? Right. Oh, here we are. I don't know if it's Japanese, Chinese, whatever. Shodu, Life in the Spatial Cloud. Um, if I am right, Doug Thompson here is the person we used to know in World in Second Life as Susan Writer. Unless it could be
Hmm.
another Doug Thompson, but I don't think it is. He used to be heavily involved with Metanomics TV
Right,
show
right.
and all of that. I certainly know him as Doug Thompson. So, um, right, basically looking at ethics and the well, it says AR cloud rather than XR or VR or whatever. But I mean, in many ways, they're all linked. Mass adoption will create new ethical issues, especially as we migrate beyond one off experience into shared clouds and as devices emerge which allow for hyper-realistic blending of the real and digital. And super realism, not surrealism, super realism and XR. There we are, got the XR in. Realism doesn't always equate to feeling real. Some interesting one. Sometimes I'm tempted to read out or summarize every single article we've got here, but you can see from the length of this that we'll be here all day if I do. Interesting read. Anyway, I don't know much about Shodu. I did come across it in some other context recently. I think it's a host for articles. That was attributed to the University of Barcelona, by the way. I think it might not be the same Doug Thompson. He's a do some writer was American, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows where these things get published? Okay, moving on from that. Oh, sorry, I didn't give you the URL, did I? This is shodu.net. So shodu.net. And the name of the article, you can probably get to it from the front page. Ethics and the AR cloud. All right. Okay, doke. I'm probably going to get an IM from Dudes and Writer in a minute saying, that's not me. Probably goofed again. Right, okay. Netflix is not enough. Our virtual and augmented reality, the perfect lockdown partners. Um, well, they could be. Um, Majority of the world stuck staring at the same four walls day after day. Natasha Patel asked the experts how the pandemic has helped them rethink extended reality. And various experts, quite a lot of them, are giving their thoughts on what's happening in these times of necessity, I guess. So, quite an extensive article there. The site you want here is IBB Online. Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's not. It's an L. It stands for Little Black Book. Okay, it's www dot lbbonline Good job I blinked at that. Or I'd have been sending you to a nib online.
Hmm.
Okay, so lbbonline.com for more on that article. Right. I'm beginning to rush here because I'm only halfway through the first half, and the second half is probably as long as the oh dear. Right. New York Times. I think this is firewalled, but um, I still in my limits. I think we are at the beginning of the month after all. This should be virtual reality's moment. Why is it still so niche? Virtual escapism is perfect for a pandemic, but VR still seems far from the mainstream technology, which in many respects is true. So the New York Times endeavors to ask and answer the question. Um, www.nytimes.com. So nytimes.com. Right, this site is singularityhub.com. singularityhub.com. And the world's biggest social virtual reality gathering is happening right now. Well, this was on April the 30th. So you might think it's actually past the. Oh, you can listen to this article. I remember that too. Um, basically, what was it that was going on here? Virtual Market 4, or VCAT for short, is a Japanese expert that spans 36 separate worlds contained within the VR chat ecosystem. Its primary purpose is to sell virtual apparel and avatars, etc., etc. And like if shopping for a new skin in Fortnite took place inside a sprawling virtual mall. Um, anyway, it could well still be going on. I didn't really know much about this, but apparently it's the sheer size of it. Basically, you've got VR chat, then you've got all these linked virtual spaces um, inside of it, and when it says the biggest, I'm just wondering if I can find any figures. I mean, you see articles like this, and oh yeah, here we are. The last one had 710,000 attendees. That was the last one,
Wow.
VK3. Um, the scope and scale of this event. Yeah, I guess it's still going on. They haven't got a total figure yet for this year. But if they had, it kicked off at 7 p.m. in San Francisco, well, San Francisco time on Tuesday, which was 11 in the morning on Wednesday in Tokyo. And oh yeah, here we are, and it runs for 10 days. So if you have an account or a fan of VR chat, you basically um, once you're in VR chat, I guess you're going to be looking for virtual market for. Somebody down below here is complaining that they did a search and ended up with a 25-year-old streamer, which had nothing to do with this at all.
Hmm.
Right, and what they can expect in the future, etc., etc. Um, yeah. Okay, well, that runs to the 10th of May on the VR chat platform. So once you get into VR chat, you can probably find it. There may be more in this article, but I'm not going to read out the whole thing. Um, Basically, if you want to read this, go to Singularity Hub. That's SINGULR. Sorry, GULARITYHUB.com. Now, this is vice.com at motherboard, vice.com. That's quite an easy one, isn't it? This tech conference is being held on an Animal Crossing island. Um, I think this actually went to. I have a Twitter feed for Melbourne's Writer, which is my Second Life avatar, and I popped into Second Life in the week, and I had a couple of people IMing me instantly talking about Animal Crossing. I've never actually been in it, and I suddenly realised they were talking about this article, which I think may have gone to the wrong feed. But it's okay. It is now restored in the Malbines feed too. Deserted Island DevOps is a conference held entirely on an island inside the hit video game since IRL is cancelled until further notice. Yeah, conference attendees. Look at them. Ew, yes, they're
Hmm.
so cute. The Avatar equivalent of putty cats, I suppose. Right. I
Very
can see.
popular game on the small handheld consoles. I know my
Yeah,
children enjoyed it a lot.
yeah. I have yet to try it, but it's probably on the iPad or something, so I can probably find it there.
Or the Switch.
Um, Speakers are doing their talks on an island in Animal Crossing, specifically built for the conference, and attendees follow along in the game on Twitch or Zoom as a fallback option.
Yeah, and it plays out. It
Probably.
only is playable on the Nintendo Switch, so you'd need that. You'd need
Oh,
that device.
oh, okay. So basically, you just have to watch on not even YouTube. Dear me. Oh, well, Zoom, Zoom. Yeah,
Yep. Zoom.
you can attend in Zoom. Okay, well, there we are.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. So anyway, yeah, a Nintendo device for a tech conference. Well, I don't know. What is the world coming to? This is our future. Right, Nintendo indeed. They're the oh well never mind. Never don't think I've touched a Nintendo in my life, so I'm well aware of
Oh,
what they
really?
were.
Okay.
Well, they're like kids, like really kids
Hmm. Hmm.
stuff.
Family
Yeah.
friendly, right?
Well, yeah, baby friendly, you mean? Toddler friendly. Yeah, toddler
Some
friendly. Yeah,
beautiful
virtual
games. Yeah.
virtual reality for toddlers and conferences. Yes, yeah, I get yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if the simple aesthetic that children require is well addressed by Nintendo. Okay, the path from virtual to virtual reality, video conferencing to FR. Again, this is an article at Medium. It's by somebody called Amy Lamea, quite interesting. About 6 minute read, they call it. Again, too complicated to give you an URL. So go to medium.com slash what was it? Virtual library, virtual dash library, I should say, to find the article. This was written on May the 1st, so it's literally only a couple of days old. And yeah, just another one of these well thought out kind of articles. And it's not Science Space. Oh no, oh no, that's the Larval virtual world, the one that was being used for the French
Mm-hmm.
platform, in fact, that was being used for that conference recently. It looks so like Sciencebase. I mean, what they have in common there, of course, is that the interface itself.
Hmm.
The world is built in Unity, and therefore the interface is, it's not a common interface. It's not the same,
Yeah, that little circle
a
controller
viewer.
at the bottom left looks a lot like Sign Space. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're authoring in Unity, if you want to actually author the interface, you've got a lot of default options
Right. Right.
that a lot of people would choose, and then they just alter the text and the links and stuff. A bit like having a ready-made website
Hmm.
with links that go nowhere until you fill them in.
Yep.
Anyway, looking at how we go from video to VR and everything else, and hand tracking and whatever. Here is Mozilla Hubs again. Um, totally cluttered with avatar names. I believe you can switch those off, fortunately. So if they're useful if you want to find somebody in a crowd, but they can be a bit awkward if otherwise. Right. Okay. So this is at medium.com and go to medium.com slash virtual dash library and just look up path from virtual to virtuality and you should be able to find that okay. Or indeed, to get to it directly, just go to twitter.com slash malburns, Malburns, and click on the link, and that will take you right to the very source itself. Okay, back to Engadget, engadget.com. Oh, yeah, I have just finished watching this. I watched the last three episodes last night,
Oh, wow.
and
Fast.
this is brilliant TV. I mean, um, the virtuality world looks like the real world. It's filmed in the real world. It's meant to, but the subtle little special effects and things. Slowly. You know, well, you get the way people materialize. in the virtual, for example, makes it really obvious. But that scene here is actually, from my memory, that is set in the virtual world. I'm saying, I mean, those two characters. Yeah, those two characters never meet in the real world. So he's permanently in the virtual world because he's dead. She is like an avatar of somebody in the real world. And I know from the scene on the bench in the background there that that scene it takes place in the virtual world. So you can see that, to all its sense and purposes, they portray the virtual world with photographic quality. It's only set in what I think would be a very close future. Unfortunately, like most American series, I got to episode 10 thinking, oh God, this is exciting, this is exciting. Then, boom, I've got to wait for series 2, haven't I?
Hmm.
It's also quite quick. They're only half hour. It's about 10 episodes, I believe, but they're only about half hour. So if you've got 5 hours on your hand, you could probably actually do the whole binge um, thing. Have you seen this, James, by any
I
chance, or
haven't.
heard
No,
of it?
I'm looking forward to trying it, but I haven't gotten there
Yeah,
yet.
right. Well, I believe, yeah, I mean, it's an Amazon production, and
Hmm.
I know it was a headline thing on the Fire TV. That's not actually where I watched it. Um, yeah, I mean, when I tweeted this, I actually did a prefix saying this is TV.
Oh.
I mean, I never used to watch much TV, but I watch a lot more these days, especially science fiction. But conceptually, this just works. They clearly understand all the gadgets we have around us already, and clearly understand virtuality. They may be pushing it with the idea of the afterlife side of it, um, but it's all very, very carefully thought out, including things. Well, I have to make jokes here about, oh, I'm going to, I need to upload myself to a virtual world somewhere before I die, and then I say,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
wonder if it's worth it. No guarantee that the coronavirus won't hit the servers on the satellites.
Yeah,
you know?
or you get a blue screen of death.
Yeah, yeah, and the script of this has even considered things like that. The actual mortality of people stuck in virtuality.
Hmm.
They are still dependent on servers and things. And when he got dead, it's his girlfriend who's actually paying. A very rich girlfriend, by the way, who's paying for this. And social disparity too is included. There are some like bargain basement virtuality escapes for people, die with no money, well,
Yep.
not much
Yep.
money, and they in their bare room kind of thing. Yeah, just well thought out. So I enjoyed that. So I've actually put this up because I recommended, but you can read about this here at engadget.com. I'm not going to spell that again. We've had it a few times today. Um, there she is again as her real self operating the system. And oh yeah, oh that was a great scene. That side is virtuality, and that side is the real world. And she attempts to kiss him, but there's a barrier there, and their kiss goes fizz. Sort of. Well, never mind, never mind. I'll talk about it all night. If given. Okay, moving on, moving on. This is a site called Pitchfork. The thing you dig with. pitchfork.com. How the hell do you throw a musical festival in Minecraft? Well, good question. They endeavour to give you the answer here. Everybody's getting into the app these days. The Minecraft servers were overwhelmed, um, but there was an official Twitch stream as Charlie XCX or whatever launched her set with a glorious inspired remix of Laurel there. Yeah, anyway. who, who's she when she's at home? I don't know. But in recent weeks, video game concerts have emerged as innovative walk around for the loss of social life.
Hmm.
And yeah, they look into all that. And in particular, in this case, the world they're looking into is Minecraft, if you call that a world, which I guess
Yeah.
there's quite a long history here of things like World of Warcraft and EVE Online, which are technically games, but virtual world people have often used them as spaces to hold meetings and hang out.
Hmm.
And in the news this week, I think it's probably going to come up, but Fortnite, which is known as a game, and you were making some jokes last week to me about having a gun if I ever got in.
Gonna
Um,
watch Mal in the video game. I gotta see it.
yeah. Well, apparently they have launched specific entry points now, which are social virtual worlds. They're not actually, they're designed for socializing, not for gaming.
Hmm.
Which is they're all getting into each other's acts. You
They
see,
are. They are.
that's what it really is all about.
Right.
Anyway, you can read about this Minecraft event, etc. at pitchfork.com, pitchfork.com. Right, moving on. The AR VR, sorry, the VR AR Association. This is the VARA, THEVRARA, and May the 2nd, yesterday really. How immersive technology is growing exponentially. Right, a video to watch there from Motley Fool's podcast too. It's actually an episode of something called Industry Focus, and yeah, I don't think there's a transcript at all. I think you simply have to go in to watch that. So you may, for those of you ever follow my video streams, you'll probably find that on my YouTube links as well. Um, right, so yeah, the VRARA.com that was. Okay. Ah, another listen thing, VR in education. This is a site called Podbean, as in podcast. Um, podbean.com, podbean.com. It's actually a service. You can get it, you can download it for iPad, Android, etc., etc. But you can also play it at the site here. If you want the more complicated or to get to it directly, you'll have to follow the link from Twitter that I posted. Basically, it's VR in education. It's episode 333. It's about students in virtual realities conference, and also there's a list of other episodes down below here, many of which are directly VR related. So you can get to those too. So the site you want, as I said, is www.podbean.com. But and the channel, so to speak, is VR in education. Or follow the link from my tweets. Right. The Washington Post.com. Oh, well, sorry, I got this wrong. www.washingtonpost. No the in it.
Hmm.
It's simply WAS, sorry, yeah, WASHINGTONPOST.com. Very famous newspaper here, based in the old washing town, of course, in Old English. That was what it's called. It's a place that certain people go to take care of their dirty laundry.
Clean their garments. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So the washing town. And they like to look clean, you see. That's why they paint their big houses white.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, paint the houses white. Yeah. Anyway, can virtual nature be a good substitute for the great outdoors? Science apparently says yes. So, if you've got a nice exotic countryside to wander around in virtual reality, then it's just as good for you as the great outdoors. And I suppose if you actually sit by an open window, the air is so clean these days that it will also smell like the great outdoors too. Anyway, they did some investigations here between 1972 and 1981, believe it or not. Records of 48 patients recovering from gallbladder surgery. One side of the hospital looked out onto trees, and the others looked out onto a brick wall. And the ones that saw trees were far better off, basically. So they've transposed that logic into the idea of virtual reality and what have you. And actually, they made a point up here. So COVID, yeah, there you can see it at the top here. Actually, oh, I didn't know. World of Warcraft experienced a pandemic in 2005. That experience may help coronavirus researchers. I didn't know that. I know the worlds have been flooded and all sorts of disasters. I didn't know they actually had a pandemic. 15 years ago, World of Warcraft got there first. So there you go.
Okay.
Virtual reality beat the real world. No, anyway, I thought this was interesting. COVID-19 has forced many indoors, and notably, even before that, longer term trends such as urbanization and computerization have profoundly altered humanity's relationship with the great outdoors. So it's not just the COVID that's forced people indoors. A lot of us were suffering from lack of outdoors anyway, in any meaningful way. So anyway, as you can see, the Washington Post has delved into that topic. April 28th that was, and yeah, you should be able to find it easily enough. Yeah, they actually have a section called video games, I believe, so it'll be in that section, if nowhere else. And of course, direct link via Twitter, Mal Burns. Okay, Forbes, FORBES.com. This is a roundup by Charlie Fink, luminary there, VR. Um, this week in XR, basically that covers AR, VR, and everything else, and it looks at everything that's been going on. Um, this is one I tried earlier no, yesterday. Lumi avatars. I've had a bit of a problem with it. There's no download for Windows, so you have to sign up and it says coming soon, but there's a download for the Mac. But when I download it, my Mac refused to actually install it because something to do with needing an Intel processor or something. It's a recent Mac. I don't know what the problem would be. But anyway, yeah, as you see from those pictures, basically, you take a photograph of yourself in the Creator app, and it makes an avatar based on your photograph. And I mean, it really does. They may look cartoony, but they've got quite a lot of personality. And I've got quite a growth on my face at the moment, and it didn't pick it up accurately. But if for a close approximation in cartoon style, it did a very good job, I thought. And when you talk through the mic, your mouth moves, and your webcam sees moves you, and then but it superimposes you if you want also on a flat background. Now Zoom and various other things have been, even Skype now, they're cashing in on this and providing backgrounds to go behind your avatar. Um, to do the green screen thing quickly, what they do is you blur your own background, you set it to blur, then you choose a picture you want to appear as the background, and it overrides the blurred area. But obviously, avatar outlines, I mean, so your outline against the background is often quite um, less than subtle, whereas this actually blends really well. Anyway, I quite liked it, so I certainly intend to keep fiddling. It also operates like a camera driver on your system, so it means that you can use it in Zoom like they've done there, but you can use it in Skype, or it plugs into Slack and all sorts of other apps too. So it's a fully fledged camera driver, and yeah, good stuff. Somewhere between VR and whatever. And yep, it's well, I won't summarize that. If you go to Forbes and read that list, it's like Scar Ghost really. It's a weekly roundup, as it were. This one comes out near the end of the week, whereas Scar Ghost comes out at the beginning. Right. Mashable.com. Mashable. Finland celebrated May Day. This is the country of Finland by throwing a massive virtual reality concert. I don't know who these people are. I'm just too old to know these days, it seems. Once upon a time, I knew who everybody was. Anyway, attempt to unite Finland's population. The country carried out a remote May Day celebration, and they used a virtual reality studio called Zoan. allowing residents to celebrate May Day by watching the virtual concert, a video of which is there above. Um, Business Insider reported 700,000 people tuned in, and of those, 150,000 actually got around to creating their own avatars for it. So this is called scaling virtuality, really, isn't it?
Hmm.
Just have a quick. This is 2.5 hours long, so um, let's see if we can find anything. There you are. Not that easy to see um, for you guys, but good entertainment for 2 hours 33 minutes.
Interesting.
Look at the dancing avatars there, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Second Life. Just like Second Life, it says 700,000 of them. Well, no, it's 150,000 that actually bothers to make avatars. Not rather good. So that's what Finland's up to. Okay,
All right.
Westminster. What the Westminster? Why didn't he not have this? I want to know. Why is the British government not doing super lockdown VR entertainments? Hmm. Anyway, moving on. I'd love to stay there and watch, but there we are. Okay, uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com. Um, Watch Story has yeah, watch.
Sony.
I think means there's a video. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Watch. Yeah, there is a video. That's why it says watch, but there's text too. Okay. Sony have revealed research on next generation finger trap VR controllers. And past patents have already suggested Sony is working on finger tracking for PlayStation and stuff. But a new video gives us a much more solid look at that work, and they've embedded the video there, and of course they talk all about it. So that one's at Upload VR. Okay, this is another. This is a site called IT Pro. Um, Quite literally itpro.co.uk, and somebody had a meeting in VR, and apparently it felt like the future.
No.
Well, it did to Adam Shepherd anyway. This is the 1st of May, so it's another one of yesterday's business press kind of, it's funny, the straight sort of business environment. You're just discovering VR,
How
you
could that
know,
be?
yeah, exactly, where they've been. But yeah, I've actually seen these pictures from. Oh, this is Sync, isn't it? Right, we had the thing on this earlier. Um, it's Vive Sync, business focused app that's essentially a virtual conferencing tool instead of video conferencing. But I started with an article on that anyway, so that's why the picture's familiar.
Wow, if that was
Um,
true, it'd be revolutionary.
it would, wouldn't it? The world would never be the same
Never be
again.
the same.
Uh, Twice. It'd be the second time the world would never be the same again.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you look
Three
back on
times.
history, three
Three
times,
times and
maybe
it's
four
real.
times. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, I don't know. This is the place for profound breaking interplanetary news, folks.
Yep. You've
You
heard it
heard it
here.
here first. The world will never be the same again. Which world? Hang on, I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Never mind. Some world won't be the same again anyway. Right, put it away, boy.
Put it away.
Right, VR room. It makes me think of revving a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Vroom. It's actually VR Room, of course. Okay, Go East 2020 unveils interactive VR and 360 films lineup. This is another event that I think would normally have happened in what virtual reality aficionados tend to call it meat space, as opposed to meta space, which is what they're in. Meat space is the thing with all those meat, basically, and carbon and all those outdated things. before the world changed again. Right, meat and carbon, really.
Hmm.
Okay, competition. Open Frame Award involved here. Social XR Cultural Lab VR Room, a broadcast platform dedicated to arts, entertainment, and cultural events. Okay. From yesterday, VR device owners are able to register online to get into the thing, basically. And this seems to be a guide. You can get to the full program below, but this is a guide to some of the stuff that is showing or exhibiting, however you look at it, really, at the event. Okay. Follow me on Twitter to get that one. Okay, that is the end of the second half of the week, but I haven't done the first half of the week yet. I
Oh
should. I need
my
to go to four
goodness.
days ago. Right, Scar Ghost again. I'm going to try and rush this, as it were, a bit. Um, a tap keyboard review. A new way of typing if you need it. Interface work here, of course, haptic stuff. Scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com for that one. Um, um, Augmented reality contact lens startup. Um, I think the emphasis here is on startup. I don't know whether this would be. I did see some comments on that, and I think it's a long way to go. They do actually say this contact lens startup is gaining steam despite Magic Leap's struggles. Of course, we covered last week that the Magic Leap is no more for the consumer market, although they are still around. They were very much a lead in the AR space, albeit an expensive one. Right, moving down. Okay, virtual reality reporter. Quite literally, virtual reality reporter, three words, squashed.com. And XR Association releases the results of the fourth augmented and virtual reality survey. Moving on again. I need to close these as I go, don't I? Right. Oh yeah, more music and entertainment in virtual reality here. John Legend, Tinashe to play live shows in social VR platform Wave. Wave is another one of these new sort of. Well, it was quite lightweight, but Wave's actually quite a good one. They have a Discord server. I tend to follow them a little bit. The series of concerts it started on April 30th, which I guess was Thursday, and Wave are now bringing more artists this summer to its One Wave concert series. John Legend, Tanashi, well, a whole load of people I haven't heard of apart from John Legend. Okay, and video example. This is of an earlier concert here using the platform and mixture of avatars and actual performers. I believe this one was called Galantis. This was actually filmed before lockdown, so this was an earlier thing they did, um, which will probably explain the proximity of real life people as well. But it's mostly, as you can see, it's through the wall basically. The what's the expression they use? The fourth wall, fifth wall, or something in
Hmm.
television. Breaking the fifth wall,
Okay.
whatever. We're now living in digital avatar culture. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it for the. You can find that. YouTube Galantis. You'll probably find that one. Right. Um, moving down. Um, TailVRFocus.com. Talking about Tailspin, the company, their latest training series, Leading Through Uncertainty, helps leaders navigate in times of crisis via VR, of course. Even those in charge need training. Oh, tell our politicians that. Yeah,
Hmm.
right. Boris, come here. Come here, boy. Stop being boorish.
Does
I
anyone
should
call
pass on.
Does anyone call Boris Bojo?
I don't think so. I call
Oh,
him boorish, but he's
uh,
not
uh,
actually as boring as I imply. But
I,
well, as soon as he was elected, I thought, what's my name for him going to be? And I thought,
yeah.
boorish.
I
Yeah,
thought
boorish
Bojo.
Boris.
I thought Bojo would be good. You know, like J Lo, Bojo.
Mm.
Perhaps not.
He's had a quite a good time of it. The poor guy got ill, and
Right. Oh, I
everybody was
know. I
very
know.
sympathetic. But yeah, I don't know. When he was elected, I suddenly just thought boorish long before any
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
other shit started flying. So yeah. Anyway, due to pandemic, business workforce, blah blah, Tailspin has tailored new modules towards CEOs, team leaders, and other executives. So this is for maybe this is for your bosses, James. Various modules. Where are we? Um, for further updates, keep reading VL Focus. Thank you.
Hmm.
Right, Tailspin. Well, let's just do a quick click through. Um, right, this is just the introductory. Well, actually, you're only even seeing a little bit of the screen here. That's what happens when you actually go to Tailspin. Um, it's a video, not an actual. So, oh well, yeah, I'm sure you can all find out if you need to.
Right.
That's tailspin.company. But the article we were reading, probably a better place to start is vrfocus.com, and you can get it on my Twitter feed, of course. Um, this was a great. This is a great little video in the week. It's actually YouTube dot be. Hang on a second. And it's called The Metaverse is Coming. If, YouTube.be slash RBH and then capital C and then number six, WOK, capital N, capital GC. But you can, of course, get to it via my feed. Um, Excellent. It's only about half hour, but we've been playing it ever since. But you've got Ralph Costa from Metaplace there, Philip Rosedale, of course, from Second Life, um, and I forget who these other people are, but they're all great talkers. And they've been talking about the metaverse for some time, and it's only accelerated with growth and advancement of VR. Philip Rosedale, High Fidelity, Matthew Ball of Opinion Industry, Ralph Costa of Playable Worlds, Frederic Deschamps of Manticore Games, and the moderator was Sam Engelbart of Galaxy Interactive. But believe it or not, there's only one comment here from somebody called Mal Burns.
Oh.
I don't normally comment on things, but I was impressed enough to comment. Yeah, so that maybe nobody else watched it. That's a bit of a or maybe people like me don't bother commenting unless they're particularly impressed. Anyway, yes, you'll find that via my feed or the rather complicated YouTube link I just read out and refusing to read out again. Um, okay, moving down. Account Alt VR. This is altspace.vr.com again. Oops, that's another. These I've been posting quite a lot of. Unfortunately, they're actually the RSP or they're the jump links to actual events. That was back on Tuesday, so it's no good now at all. But forewarned is forearmed. If I'd loaded these before the show, it would I would have known. But it was too many tabs for my poor little browser to cope with. Right. Vicardia, the first alpha release, ready, set, metaverse. Good to see the phrase metaverse is coming back. Oh, actually, they had an interesting, I wouldn't call it a debate on that YouTube I just posted as to whether it's more accurate to refer to the multiverse, which would imply more interoperability in the future, or whether it should still be fixed on the metaverse as a description.
Hmm.
Now, Vicardia, by the way, is they used to be called Project Athena, and it's based on High Fidelity's open source code. Kalila L. She was on my panel at the OpenSim. community conference. Basically, they have their first alpha release here. You can get the code at GitHub. You can actually download. I think it is just for Windows at the moment, and you can join their Discord server. So, and a little bit of information on the alpha release here. So finally, we're getting to the point where you can actually download ups from Picardia here, and also I've forgotten the name of the other one already. I'm getting addle-headed. I've been on there too long.
Been
Too
on a
many
long
links.
time. And
I know.
Kitely hasn't kicked you off, or have you caught good notice?
Grief. Actually, no, it hasn't.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they had a
Oh, that's
change
rather odd.
in licensing.
Maybe, yeah, who knows?
You,
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, okay, I should keep looking.
we've
Yeah,
opened it
no,
for everybody.
I haven't been kicked out. Maybe, yeah, maybe I got special permission. Maybe
Maybe.
he's realised
Oops.
who I am. He's
Mm-hmm.
allowing me to
Mm-hmm.
stay in. Right. Liv Erickson has a blog. Again, this is a how-to thing from 5 days ago. This is how to join video calls while you're in Mozilla Hubs. If you're using the Windows version, anyway. I presume there must be something similar on the Mac too. If you are exploring Mozilla Hubs, as James was telling us about earlier as well, if you want to make video calls inside Mozilla Hubs, you can do that. Yes, you can. And Liv Erickson tells you all about it there. LIVIIKSON.com. Can't quite can't quite get to her name on the screen, but never mind. Obviously, go to Twitter and follow my links. Um, but she talks you through about virtual audio devices using OBS Studio as well and virtual cam, all sorts of stuff. So that is a good article. If you're interested in that kind of thing, good article to have on standby to, if a quick refresher in how to do things if you don't know already, and particularly, of course, in Mozilla Hubs in this case. All right. um, Alt VR, 5 days ago. Oops, here we are. Back to events that have finished. So sorry about that, folks. Um, get Global VR Summit. Okay, get your ticket. ARVR. This is June 1st to the 3rd, and you can get tickets online. I rather like that graphic they've been using, the way they've superimposed a feed on a picture and they've used that bursting out of the frame comic book effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good graphic, actually. Anyway, there's a video about it at the bottom there, and they're going on VRARA and what's happening there. It's all online, of course. It wouldn't be anything else at the moment. I've got a feeling it may not be. I don't think it's free, and it's quite possibly one of these sort of pricey things. And you can get a booth or sponsor or whatever. So you'll find that at www. VRARGLOBALSUMMIT Global Summit. Yeah, Vara Vara Global Summit.com. Oh dear. Okay, 5 days ago, where are we? Royal Oaks Pixo VR creates virtual reality training for the natural gas industry. You'll find this at dbusiness.com. So that's D, the letter, and then business.com, or one word, dbusiness. And yeah, training for the industry using VR. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. Thank you. Um, um, we've covered it already in things, but 5 days ago, this would have been last Tuesday or whatever. This again, Liv Erickson again. This was the official announcement from the Mixed Reality blog about Hub's Cloud and its launch and everything else. So you can find out more about that there as well. Um, we're nearly there, really, really. Believe
Okay.
me. It's
Okay.
not quite as bad at the beginning of the week for some reason. Oh, this is fun. Android Authority, though I think this is a general article. It's a new device that you can use to turn almost any screen into a touchless touchscreen. I've heard of this before, or something very similar to it. It's kind of a kind of sensor. Basically, it will get to know where your fingers are on the screen. You attach it to the screen, and it's sort of it uses LiDAR technology, which I've heard about in some other context. The device, by the way, is called Glamos. And I suppose if you've got a big 4K screen or something, and that sort of thing where they don't really make touchscreen versions, you could ultimately at some point use this to get finger control on the touch screen. It functions as a touchscreen of sorts, but you don't actually have to touch anything to interact with it. Glamos detects motion and sends a signal to the device telling what to do. This creates a situation where a user can control a laptop or a smart TV or a smartphone or a tablet without actually needing to put their hands on anything but the air within a 180-degree area. And yeah, well, that's the idea of how it works. Could be useful. I love interfacing tools like this. Trouble is you run out and get the first version if it's cheap enough, and then find that it's a bit gimmicky, and you've got to wait to about version 6 before it actually gets to be fit for use. Apparently, here we are. There's a basic version which connects us to a user's device via a cable, which is 129 US dollars.
Oh,
Uh,
you just
oh,
disappeared.
oh, 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 yes, I see. Okay, I'm here. I'm here. Oh, fuck. Pardon my. Damn it! It won't let me out either.
Okay.
View IM and chat. Okay, right. Well, I'm going to have to. Yeah, I shall be back shortly. Move the camera. Well, you got
Got
my
your feed.
screencast.
Yep.
You got my screencast to
Right.
go with.
Right.
The viewers will not know I vanished.
Oh, they know.
Yeah, they know. Bloody obvious, really, isn't it?
Yep.
Right, ho. We'll just find out where is it. Yeah, Firestorm I was using, wasn't it? Right. Okay. Well, while that's going on, yeah, basic version 129 US dollars, which connects to it via cable. But there's a pro version which works with cable or Bluetooth, and sells for $149, not much more. But the Bluetooth, if you're using Bluetooth, it only supports about 2 hours of battery life. They do point out there, so it's probably still worth having, but not the longest lasting Bluetooth signal.
Hmm.
um, Yep, sounds interesting. Oh, yeah, LiDAR technology is the same technology found in self-driving cars and robot vacuums. So it's a reliable piece of tech,
Tech.
except for crash cars and vacuums that suck up the wrong things.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, I'll behave myself. Let's move on. Right, not that much to go now anyway. I'm now, yeah, uh, it's reasonably easy getting back in here when I crash, fortunately. So I just camera around from the other studio and camera up here, and then don't need to zoom in or anything. Sit here and wham bam, I'm back in the studio. But unless
Back. Back in the
unless James
saddle.
unless James was cheating and showing you, you wouldn't even notice if I hadn't told you. Right, okay. Virtual arena changing VR out of home landscape. Right, this is we had part one of this, I think, on last week's show. This is part two. Um, this is well, it's interesting. It's a feature looking at the out of home VR thing, with arcades and all that sort of stuff. But it is taking into account lockdown. So I mean, you've got to think, well, what is the future? There probably is quite a big future if the world changes enough that lockdown can be lifted again and people can get in close proximity. I don't know. This is going to be anything like the near future. Could be easily a couple of years, if not. permanent that well, yeah, that we can get that close to each other again. I suspect nobody actually knows, of
Nobody
course, but
knows.
I think we're being given the optimistic version most of the time. Right. Okay. Oh, Suzanne showcasing 6 days ago, so we're on Monday now. Okay, bringing people into the same event room without leaving your house. Virtual meetings, hosting collaborative immersive events, virtual platform special. This is at a site called SuzanneShowcasingVR.com. So here we go. SuzanneShowcasingVR.com. You might prefer to look up twitter.com/Malburns to follow that one. Okay, I don't know whether that is actually Suzanne herself. Oh, go away, you stupid pop. Start again. Don't know whether that actually is her doing her thing, or whether it's just a stock photo. But as you can see, it's all very easy. All you need is a laptop and look, that's a pen and paper.
So easy.
So easy. So it is. Anyway, global affairs tough to adjust to. Blah 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 blah. And keep an open mind. Remember that even outside the global pandemic, these immersive platforms are there to help you collaborate, feel like you're really in the same space as others, feel your interactive needs. Benefits include feeling engaged, present, connected, great for the environment, and saving real world logistical costs for hosting events and conferences. And yep, then she's later on she starts looking at applications, starting with ones compatible with Oculus Rift and other headsets, and then things like big screen, which are in headset and desktop and smartphone for that matter. Yeah, she covers really quite a lot, and they're on this new Glue platform, which I'm trying to find out more about. They've got a YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Um, actually, can we get to that? Oh, I am subscribed. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing my own doing my own thing here while I'm talking to you. Okay, so that's Suzanne showcasing VR.com. Bit of a handful there, but that's where you want to go. Put that one away too. And yeah, also, oh dear, right, Monday. Yeah, was that? Okay, the Los Angeles Times. Again, Monday, LA Times. .com. Actors sheltering at home been performing in live VR experiences, making a case for a new theatre form. So not only are they trying to bring a theatre online through VR, but they're also doing it in such a way that they may be making a new art form of it. This is all happening in Los Angeles, although I suspect similar things are happening all over the world as a result of these times, inverted commas. Right. KDLKC. Okay, it's King's Lab. This is an academic site in the UK. kdl.kcl.ac.uk. And again, meeting in virtuality, conferences and gatherings while working from home. And they're, they're looking at it all. They talk about the Engage platform, Immerse UK, Vive, basically all sorts of stuff. Some snapshots there, which were from the Engage VR conference in Oculus, and Engage VR again using Steam. Um, ooh, quite a lot to look back on there. So you'll find that at kdl.kcl.ac.uk. Right, another post at medium.com. Which again, not easy to actually give you a direct link, but it's an article by Ada Rose Cannon. I thought I was following her already. Right, on virtual reality, WebXR, and Samsung's internet, a major update for VR and the web. Again, if you go to medium.com/virtual dash library, you will almost certainly find a link to that as a recent article. on the library front page, or just follow me on Twitter and follow the direct link. And finally, for the Malbonus feed at least, we're back to the Scarred Goose.com, and this was the regular Monday. There'll be another one tomorrow, obviously. Their XR Week Peak, he calls it, looking at Magic Leap's new course, the top news. Other news was the Travis Scott we mentioned last week. It's basically a roundup, and of course, coming out on Monday, there's probably very little here that I didn't actually cover on our news show last week. But obviously, a good roundup to have in what you might call print, print on screen. That is
Hmm.
okay. So I'm going to close that lot, and just before we do go any further, I'm going to switch very quickly to the Metaworld news feed. This is twitter.com/Metaworld News. Social virtual world stuff mostly. We've got a repeat of Mozilla Hub's cloud business. Um, this is RyanSchultz.com. There is an event relaunch for Club Catacombs. Um, yeah, this is on Tuesday, the 5th of May. Yep. So it starts at 4 p.m. Pacific time in Science Space. It's a relaunch of one of their more popular kind of venues. So why not give them a little plug, as it were? Um, Immersive Classroom. Oh gosh, I think we got this. Is no, that's another event that we've passed. So I've got to be all careful here. Joining video calls on Windows, Born of High Five, Arcadia, April 20. Oh, actually, oddly enough, although there are actually quite a few things um, on the Meta World feed, most of the stuff that was duplicated elsewhere. Oh, the only other thing is Austin Tate's blog here. Party Royal and Social Space Fortnite, which I've still haven't succeeded in downloading, let alone installing. Um, James wants to see me with a gun, but apparently he may not have that pleasure
Oh
because
no.
um, Fortnite normally involves player versus player combat, but a new Party Royal mode provides a social space that is being used for hangouts, parties, concerts, and lightweight games. So if I ever get there, and I sincerely doubt that I will, to be honest, but if I ever get there, I'll be checking out Party Royal. I will
Okay.
not be. I'll not be going for combat.
No bang
Um,
bang, huh? Okay.
yeah. So if you want to read about this, actually, the address is blog.inf.ed.ac.uk, and ever knowledgeable Austin Tate's blog there. So I think I'm done.
Oh,
I
okay.
had one picture to show us. And this is May 7th right through to August 2020. This is on Tangle Grid on their expo. Oh, this is actually a long one, but I guess it's not the real full expo. It's called the Metaverse Yard Sale, and combined with a farmers market. Buy, sell, and give away anything, etc., etc. And a note that if you bring copybot items along, they'll be removed.
Mm.
But you can buy, sell, or give away anything you want, and it's advertised as a hyper grid event. In other words, you don't have to be on Tangle Grid to do this. You can bring anything you want to sell or give away from wherever, really. And I guess they'll give you arrangements to res it. The location you want is Expo Isle, but if you want to actually arrange something, you want to contact Leslie Kling, Leslie, and then Kling, the surname Kling, in Tangle Grid. I'm sure there's other ways to contact her too, but the post just says just to contact her in the grid itself. Tangle Grid, of course, is on the hypergrid, so as long as you have an open SIM account somewhere on the grid that's hypergrid enabled, you don't need to do much at all. You just dive through there. So that really is it for now.
Wow.
Um, James, I know from the beginning of the show there was something that I wasn't sure I'd actually included
Oh,
that
it
we
was.
were.
It had to do with Apple dropping support for VR. I mean, with
Oh,
Steam dropping support for Apple in the Steam VR
that
software.
that is right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a link up for this. I read about it, but I didn't really think it was that important. But I guess it is um, if you use any virtual worlds or particularly games, obviously in Steam, where it's more of a gaming thing. But yeah, the you won't be able to use Steam on Apple in future. I gather. I think I actually have it installed on Apple, but what will happen whether anything I've already downloaded will work, or whether it's just everything will simply go into the wild blue yonder. Um,
Um,
Hyper limbo somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, but that is a bit disappointing. You'd think you'd actually think that these platforms and link providers and everything else, you would think that given the state of lockdown, as we call it,
hmm
inevitably, you'd think that they'd be maximizing and working on getting their products out all over the place to everybody these days, not actually saying, oh, sorry, well, if you're a Mac user, you're out of luck. Go and watch Netflix instead. Yeah, not really on. You'd think they'd be taking a more sort of get the users approach.
Yeah.
But apparently not. Apparently not. So yeah, that is sad news. Okay. Well, anything else there, James? Of the stuff I've been reading out and whatever, or that horrendous length of it,
That was a lot of
uh,
stuff.
it did
Um,
feel like it. Yeah.
um, no, I was going to talk about. It's interesting. You mentioned a story early on about a show, an upload show,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes I have to wonder if things like that have a particular agenda. If they're trying to, not just report on the state of affairs, but actually change the state of affairs.
You
Um,
mean the Amazon show
yeah.
I
Yep.
mentioned?
Yep. And I just,
I don't
it's,
know. I don't know. It's you can tell. Although everything about it, most of it seems to be fairly contemporary, you can tell that it's clearly set a few years in the future, not any
hmm
great number.
yeah.
Um, but the fact it's portrayed as, the seamless blending of virtual and real, I think, is the thing that
Right.
took my fancy because that, to some people who don't know about it, could probably be a bit disturbing. They're trying to figure out.
Oh, right. Right.
I think it's made pretty plain, what's going on.
hmm
But for people who've never been in any kind of virtual reality 3D environment,
Oh,
then
people do
maybe.
get frightened, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, because it's portrayed as so real, I don't know whether people watching it would fully understand the difference.
Yeah.
For people like us who do understand the difference, I don't, I think it's just a masterpiece of storytelling. And there's an underlying murder mystery too, which just adds
No.
as yeah, we don't ever find out the real answers because there's another season coming up.
hmm
But that actually adds to it. I always like a good old murder mystery, a bit of crime
Sure.
drama thrown in.
Right.
It just seems to be an all-round good package of stuff that resonates with me because of the virtuality connection and all the smart toys and
Yeah.
stuff that are there.
Well.
They have a wonderful phone that is obviously an iPhone, but it just appears in thin air on people's palm.
hmm
But the interface is Apple's. They don't say so, but it so obviously is. And you can just see all this wearable tech and stuff, and you just see it happening in there, and you don't really think of it as science fiction. You think of it as, oh, it's maybe the intelligence services have that already, or
hmm
you sense that it is just a few years down the line. So
Right. Right.
so near future that it doesn't seem like science fiction,
Right.
but still near future.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so I just think it's did a wonderful job on it.
yeah, you'd have to stop me if I go too far down the rabbit hole. But one of the things I like I've watched the new Star Trek series, a couple of them, and there's the new Picard series. And have you
Oh
seen
yes,
anything
yeah.
of that?
Oh yeah, I watched the whole Picard
Yeah,
thing. I love that. Yeah.
yeah, and the thing about it that concerns me a little bit is it really looks to be painting artificial intelligence as a villain and as an evil force.
Oh, it did.
And
Yeah.
I just, I don't see artificial intelligence as evil, but I know that a lot of people do. And so it's like, oh, one of my favorite things, Star Trek. Oh, now they've got this agenda that I'm not too happy about.
I don't know. I thought there was artificial intelligence in the original Star Treks on occasion.
Yeah, yeah. But
Conceptually, I think they
right,
covered it back in the 60s.
yeah, yep.
Not in the knowledgeable way we have now, but yeah, I know what you mean because it's that whole thing of the AI. What was it? Destroyed some uprising on Mars or something.
Right,
But
right,
then again, it wasn't anything to do with AI. It was like subversive. Um, it's all very human.
right. Yet to be revealed. Yeah,
The ending of the Picard series, of course, gets closer into that when they're on that
yeah. And
planet
there's
of
an
the.
ancient AI that's somewhere out beyond the galaxy that's going to be this terrible
Well,
threat. Yeah,
yeah, it's like an AI that predates humankind.
right,
Is I think
right.
the suggestion, isn't it? Yeah.
So my question, looking at
I
the upload show, is are they
mm,
going to have an agenda about virtual reality? Is it going to be a terrible thing?
I'm I I didn't get any feeling one way or the other.
Okay, all right.
The story's there
Mhm,
and the production standards are great. I don't think come series two, and however hopefully the story has an end and doesn't go on for 1,000 series. Um, I didn't get the impression there was a good or bad agenda about
okay,
it. It was a
okay,
close enough future.
all right.
They didn't have anything in it that I would say was overly speculative, although there
Mhm,
clearly is
mhm,
speculation in it.
right.
Um, you know, um, so maybe they weren't looking far ahead enough to find out, to find real problems. I mean, I'm not just trying to quickly think back. I don't think there's any problem that happens. The other thing about it is it's not a comedy per se, but it's incredibly funny at times.
Oh, okay.
Um, and the gags really rely on a knowledge of virtuality and things like that. I mean, it's very entertaining as well as gripping to watch. I can't remember any of the jokes, but so I don't want to spoil it anyway. But I remember there were some really funny things. So, that in the story they're kind of accidents, but they're portrayed as funny.
Mhm,
So I think they played it quite safe, but they've broken new ground in terms of assuming um, uh, the assumption of virtuality. And oddly enough, production-wise, it must have been made before the COVID.
right. Yeah, I think that has to be
Um,
true.
so they would have been going for a kind of mainstream market. I mean, there have been other. I'm trying to find there've been a couple of other weird. Oh yes, I
Oh,
know.
yeah, good.
Your her fix is completed. It is,
And the
yes.
premise seems a bit like maybe one or two Black Mirror stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw some reviews of it. I didn't think of that, but I saw some reviews of it that commented on that.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just having a quickie look here in my database to see if I can stay on there again very quickly. What was it? Fantastical drama. Yeah, there are a couple of things recently between um, and dispatches from elsewhere. I watched this week too.
Mhm.
That was funny. I haven't got I can't see a link here as to which network they were shown on or where it came from. Um, and then upload there. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, yeah, dispatches from elsewhere was great, and so was between actually. if you come across those. They probably gave more pause for thought on future sort of stuff.
Okay. Well,
Um,
that was just, I don't usually go that far afield at this point of the
mm,
show with my thoughts, but that just jumped out at me with that upload program.
yeah,
I have to take a look at it.
no, it should. I mean, there's always a risk, you know. There always has been a risk of in science fiction and speculative fiction, where the fiction can actually set the agenda,
Hmm.
or can accidentally predict the future. I mean, you know, our communicators from Star Trek are actually our smartphones. I can't find a Scotty bloke to beam me up into space yet, but I mean, you know,
Hmm.
I can't have everything. Um, you know, and I've seen smartwatches, you know, like my Apple Watch in science fiction and stuff. And then you know, lots of other things. I mean, you know, if you go back um, long enough, I think you know, credit cards were science fiction at one point. You know, the idea you have info on a card and put it
Right,
in there. I
right.
mean, there have been so many things. Now, I don't, you know, I don't think back in those days people would have stood, you know, people either said that's impossible or they said, oh, likely story, you know. But actually, the creators of our modern age grew up with that sort of stuff. So they were inspired to create things that were just speculative ideas
Hmm.
in fiction back in the day. Um, Now, AI is now with us. Um, we already reading fiction of it being a bad thing and also fiction of it being a good thing. You know, it's with us regardless. I didn't know that we can use fiction. You know, we can have the day. You know, I was a big fan in the day. It was Harlan Ellison's anthologies, but it was
Hmm.
they called
Hmm.
it Dangerous Visions. It was
Hmm.
called,
Right.
and you know, but I actually always saw that as an umbrella term for a lot of the science fiction I liked, speculative near future fiction, which implied danger where appropriate. You know. Um, so I read a lot of science fiction in the 70s that predicted the environmental mess we're in now, or
Oh,
they're
right.
possibly even worse. You
Hmm.
know, now no, you know it's like George Orwell's 1984. These are works of fiction that were written as cautionary tales, but we have a whole generations later, where people have emulated the scenario rather than seeing it as a cautionary tale. People think, you know, I mean, Big Brother, 1984. What do they do? It becomes a television show.
Hmm.
You know, it's just the they've taken a bad concept and turned it into entertainment. Um, and we can't really do anything about that. Except try, you know, let's say you've got a concept. I mean, you know, just hope the good interpretation gets to the top of the ladder first. You know,
It gets realized, right?
um, I know, for, you know, I'm certain that artificial intelligence is going to be used for very bad things for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
But I imagine the benefits to us in terms of calculations and number crunching and whatever combined with quantum computers. I mean, hopefully the benefits are going to far outweigh the mischief people get up to.
Yep.
I think one of the main things, and I'm aware of it now in this coronavirus thing, is of course it varies around the world, but it's legislation. You know, um, governments are so far behind technology, they don't legislate until it's too late. It's a bit like somebody legislating for. Imagine there being strict controls on personal motor cars. Now, in the 1900s, it would have still been workable. You know,
Hmm.
motor vehicles would be a public transport only, you know, device. And the idea of families with multiple cars and you know the pollution that comes with it. It could, I don't know how, but I mean it could have been prevented by legislation at that point. But if Britain had legislated, there's no, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make sense that any other country would have done. And we're finding now this with the way people are handling lockdown. You know, some countries. have ignored this and seem to have done okay until recently. Other countries are really fiercely locking down and seem to be benefiting. Other countries are talking about relaxing some of the rules. What seems to me to be prematurely. Other places have, we've got a whole load of new dictatorships that have turned up in Africa and
Right.
places in the last month or two, simply because people have been able to seize power and use the lockdown as a
Right.
totalitarian. You know, you can't legislate for the future really, but
Yeah.
you can be careful. And I would say the it's the consciousness thing in the case of AI.
Hmm.
Whether an AI can have self-determination, and if so, what are the dangers of that? But we went through all that with the Terminator movies, for goodness sake. It's, that's almost all that too. Um, but I definitely think um, it's like a whole world run by technology. I don't think I would feel bad if there wasn't human oversight at all the different levels. I can see a factory being run by robots and computers, but the shop floor still needs a supervisor that's human, if you sort of mean, to
Sure.
cope with the unexpected emergencies. And more humans on levels above that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be around much more, I'm sure. But I mean, there's says it.
Oh,
But
come on.
it's there is a something. Time goes faster at my age, but
Hmm.
also the whole of society is racing at the speed which I'd never imagined before too. It's almost
Sure.
like I can wake up every day and if I accidentally sleep for a day too long in a day or don't check in, some major change will have happened. Um, in terms of science or whatever, not just the immediate concerns like lockdowns and
Yeah.
whatever. And it's sort of don't know how long I'll be around, but it's actually an exciting time in some ways.
Hmm. I
I mean,
think
whether
so.
it's exciting, I think it's probably exciting because I like leading edge and the cusp of science and stuff. I always have done, and this time seems to be a good time for that. But it may also be the fact that I've got time now to take it all in as a absorber
Right.
rather
Right.
than actively involved. I don't know, but it's and actually, in the back of my mind, I'm just got my fingers crossed that I actually want this lockdown to continue for maybe a year or two, maybe certainly until there's a vaccine, because I think the world and most of the world will benefit from the kind of rebuilding that will have to take place
Ah,
afterwards and
yeah.
the
Yep.
reorganization.
Right.
If somehow we had a vaccine tomorrow morning and or whatever, and things went back to normal now, most of the government would be happy. That we'd be in debt for 3 generations, but I mean we'd
Right.
they'd be I was talking to somebody else in a shop oddly enough the other day. I mean they'll be able to reinvent capitalism, and all those complacent TV consumers will eventually get back on track, and the good old system will be back. That's what we don't want. This is the perfect opportunity to make sure I want to keep the clean air we've got. It's
Right.
taken a
Right.
couple of weeks, and the long-term pollution hasn't gone, but we got clean air back, and it's a good start.
Yeah. Well,
And
again,
I
I'm.
love the fact that in the
Yeah.
outskirts of London, you've got deer, you've got all sorts of animals that are coming back and intruding. I mean, they're just walking down the main roads because there aren't any cars on the roads, so you don't realise how dangerous it is if one comes along. And foliage and stuff. It's taking so little time for it all to, the earth to start
To
taking over
reassert
our
itself.
constructs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, I didn't mean to take us down a big rabbit hole until we end the show usually, but that's what I was thinking about.
But yeah, of course, we're still on here.
It's still on air. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're definitely getting the meta world Broadcasting News Plus.
Plus, that's right.
Yeah, I was thinking of a new
Plus
introduction to
some
this show
opinionating,
where
right?
I was thinking of a new introduction to the show. I said, "This is the news for the week," and and that's what you always get. But sometimes we bring you special extras, and actually, we've done it. We, we've done it this week, haven't we?
Mission accomplished. Yep.
Yeah, because our meta world of the week is a labyrinth of rabbit holes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping out of one and into another.
Yep.
Hey, this is fun. Yeah, I've forgotten we were still on there. How it gets like that. I thought I was going to faint earlier, but I'm awake
Right,
again now.
right.
Right, okay. Well, I think it's about time we wished our viewers a fare ye well till next week kind of thing. So it's goodbye
Let it
from
go, yeah.
you. Yeah, it's goodbye from you.
And goodbye from you.
So from the two of us, we will bid you farewell until same time, same place. Well, probably same place next week. Hope you enjoyed the news. Have a good week. Make sure it's a good one despite obstacles. And yeah, bye for now.